Ladies and gentlemen, your eyes, your ears do not deceive you. We are, in fact, back. This is the first Pattison report in about a month. I apologize for the incredible delay, but for 3 of those weeks, I was overseas at the Notre Dame Navy game in Dublin and then popped over to Italy for another week or so. Got back on a Thursday, super jet lagged, not worth trying to push through a podcast. And then, last week just was a crazy week for Ryan and I both at work. But we're back this week. We're going to copy. We're going to cover some of the topics that we would have covered last week, and we'll be back weekly from here on out. It's good to see you again, buddy. It's been far too long. It's been about a month. Our last episode was an awesome one. We had Aiden from Life of a Philly Fan on. Like I said, about a month ago at this point. Just feels like ages ago, but we'll get to the thing that we were talking about with Aiden before, and the number one topic in Philly right now is the Eagles. And yes, they're 2-0. It was an underwhelming Patriots win, but a win. And Minnesota, a lot of the same, an underwhelming win, but a win nonetheless. And fans are worried. I'm a little worried. I think they're going to get it together. I watched the Kelsey documentary. And even though it's not about this season, he talked about it last year too, where it's like, we're not right now, but we're going to get it right. And I think that's still going to be the case this year. But I want to get your take on Jalen's press conference today. And the message really was, reporters ask him, Jalen, you don't look like the same guy from last year. This offense doesn't look like the same explosive offense from last year. What do you do to right the ship? What do you do to get out of this slump? And he had a great quote. He said, winning is the main thing. We always try to keep it about the main thing and keep it about winning. How did that sit with you? Because it's sat differently with different people around the city.
I'm perfectly fine with it. We know his best ball's ahead of him. I mean, that guy from last year just did disappear. Mm-hmm. He's still there. He's going to come out eventually. As long as we're winning football games right now, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a luxury, honestly, because I can't remember the last Eagle team that won playing, I would say 50% of themselves. I think there's that much room to grow. So the fact this team just beat a Bill Belichick team with a very good defense in New England, and a Minnesota team with Kirk Cousins putting up statistically one of the best campaigns in the NFL so far. To beat those two teams while playing pretty poor football compared to what you're capable of is a good sign of what this team is capable of. And I think Jalen's going to be fine. And I think Jalen came into the season fine. I don't think this has anything to do with him, his preparation, his field vision, or any of that. I think it has everything to do with the fact that it's a new system. It's Brian Johnson's first time calling the game. Being a quarterback's coach is one thing, and having a good relationship with Jalen is one thing. But calling an entire offense is completely different. And I think those are the reasons we're seeing bumps out of Jalen. I think he and Shane Steichen were such on the same page, and his system was so made for a dual threat quarterback that it let Jalen shine. This year, it seems like they're trying to put him in a bit of a box. Is the kind of the vibe I've been getting.
Have you had the opportunity to watch any Colts games this year so far?
I saw their last game, and that's kind of what makes me bring that point up about Shane Steichen, is that he's really good with dual threat quarterbacks.
Anthony Richardson is just the dude. But anyway, I mean, Brian Johnson, that's a whole other point. Some of those play calls were...
Hang on. We've been having an issue with StreamYard. It's not either of our connections. I'm showing full bars. Ryan usually is too.
No, it might be mine. I pay for good internet, and they just don't give it to me, and I'll say that all the time. You should still be able to stream though if you're fine by yourself. So it must be StreamYard. Because then I would just go in a circular. But anyway, back to the Birds. Well, while we figure out these technical difficulties, we were talking about the offensive side of the ball. What about Jalen Carter? I feel like we need to mention it.
I'm not sure what the issue is at the moment here. It's it looks like it might be on Ryan's end. It's tough to tell, but until we get back, basically what we were going over was, that first Colts, that latest Colts game, really gave you an appreciation of, what Shane Steichen kind of meant to the Eagles, and just. Are you back? You think?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, I don't know what that was. We both lagged out.
You catch my internet? You catch my internet rant, or was I not here for that?
You were gone for all of that.
I pay for decent internet.
Uh-huh.
I get like 1 megabyte download a second. It's pretty great.
Okay.
I pay for way more than that, but
it is what it is. Okay, I thought it was StreamYard because I'm looking at mine.
It's usually me. I was playing 2K with my boys last night, and I lagged out in the middle of the game, and they had some harsh words for me. So it's my internet.
All right. Well, hopefully we kept some people around. We'll see how the views look on this one at the end of the day. But we were pretty much. I lost you when I kicked it back to you for Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson tandem over in Indy.
It looks amazing. I mean, I wish Brian Johnson would take notes of what's going on in Indy and like notes from last season. Like, come on, it's not that hard. I mean, Anthony Richardson's incredible, on the same level athlete as Jalen. I think he's better, honestly. So it's just one of those things, a match made in heaven for them, and sucks that we lost.
You mean athletically?
Yeah. No, Jalen's a way better quarterback.
Pure athleticism.
Pure athleticism, he's better.
Yeah, okay.
Anthony Richardson's probably the.
I don't want people.
No,
I don't want people outside your house with
pitchforks. You're saving me from being clipped. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I don't want somebody clipping that and then blowing us up over it.
Athleticism.
But yeah, you're right, dude. They look really good, and it looks like a brilliant call for Indy to not only go get Shane Steichen, but you got to figure he had a big role in bringing Anthony Richardson in. They definitely asked him, like, we saw what you did with Jalen in Philly. Is there a guy in this draft do you think can run that system? Yeah, he must have said Anthony Richardson, even though he was going to be a pretty big project. But he looks like he has him way ahead of schedule, and I'm going to say it early. Obviously the team's a little bit different. Obviously the quarterback is very different. Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts aren't the same guy mentally. But this kind of has like 2018 vibes to it a little bit, where you didn't really appreciate how important those coordinators were. If you remember, like that 2018 team, the core came back, much like this year, where you lose some extras and you bring the core back, but you lose both coordinators. I mean, I don't think enough of us worried enough about losing the coordinators, and we're kind of. Although I'm very happy with Sean Desai, he's been incredible on defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's totally. I mean, he's doing all he can. It's just the offense is a little shaky right now, but a lot of teams are working off the rust. If you watched around the league, I mean, Eagles fans are panicking a little bit at 2-0. It's just there's other teams out there that I'm happy we're not fans of right now. Like the Bengals. The Bengals are at the top of my list for the panic meter.
They should be afraid. Cleveland too, dude. I mean,
Cleveland's up there. They look terrible. I think we're fine.
I'm nitpicking at this point. We're going to be okay at the end of the day. This team just has such high like expectations and hopes and potential that it would be a bummer to see this team limp into the playoffs. Like this is a team that should match last year's record. I get that the schedule's a lot harder this year, but this is a team that should win 14 games again, in my opinion. And one of the guys we brought in early on in the offseason to help us do that when we realized that we were going to lose, Miles Sanders to a big contract was Rashad Penny. And I was, I was on the hype train for him from the get-go. I thought, this guy has been injured often, but Seattle's never had a good O-line. He was taking too many hits. He was getting too many touches. Like, I thought he was going to come here and shine as the lead back. And then you go out and get Swift, and I was like, okay, you know what? That kind of sucks for Kenny Gainwell, but that two-headed monster of Swift and Penny is going to be a real problem to deal with. Then you re-sign Boston Scott, and it's like, you know, we talked 2 or 3 weeks. Where's this running back room going to go? And from the looks of it, it's going to be, you know, a tandem of Gainwell and Swift, whoever's hot that day, and then Scott's going to get those random carries. I'm confused as to. I love Boston Scott, but
everyone does.
But what happened to Rashad? What happened to Rashad Penny in camp?
It's the injuries. The injuries probably piled up on him, and he's probably done from that perspective.
He's not the same guy. Not the explosiveness is gone.
I saw it. What was it? The Vikings game? He was active because Gainwell was hurt. He just did look like the same guy.
That's a bummer, because I really thought I had high hopes for him. Again, we keep harkening back to that 17 team. I mean, he's the LeGarrette Blount. Like, he's the hammer. You know, I know we have Jalen Hurts for those QB sneaks, and I love him too. But he's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. I need to go bowl over a couple of guys and get the first down. Like, I thought he was going to fill that role to a T. But we're using the smallest player in the NFL and he's good at it, dude. I love Boston Scott. He gets in between the tackles. He's small. He's tough. But I'm just very surprised at the lack of a role that Penny's had so far.
It's the knee injuries. They finally caught up to him. I'm shocked that they didn't get him last season when, you know, I think he led the league in yards per carry.
Mm-hmm. But again, for a truncated season. But you're right.
Then he got hurt again, and I think that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Honestly,
yeah, such a shame. I mean, we could do a whole episode on running backs, but a lot of them have gotten burnt this year. I mean, Nick Chubb, obviously, that injury was gruesome. And he was one of the guys who was very outspoken about why running backs should get protected more than they do. Saquon Barkley was part of that conversation. He's out for 2-3 weeks. So, yeah, the running back.
Eckler's there. He's hurt. Jonathan Taylor's in that conversation as well. He's hurt. Or he might be hurt.
He's on the PUP list. How hurt he is debatable.
That is he had to get surgery to clean something up, I'm pretty sure, at least. So there's at least that.
Yeah, but it's great for us. I mean, Howie does a great job with the running back market, getting a guy like Swift for we cost us about 4th, I think, to bring him in.
Something like that, 4th, 5th.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a stud, so it benefits us. But I do feel for running backs, and we haven't had this problem in so long because we haven't had good enough wide receivers to have this problem. But the last wide receiver quarterback disagreement that got this much coverage was the famous T.O. Donovan McNabb blowout on the sidelines. This was far from that. I don't think it's anything at all. I think it was bound to happen eventually when you have 2 best friends, well, really 3 best friends who, kind of work for each other. You got to figure how close Jalen and Devontae are from their Alabama days. And then Jalen and A.J. Brown are self-proclaimed best friends, and he has to share the ball to both of them. This was going to happen one of these days. And, this year, Smitty's taken a step forward. He looks like, wide receiver 1A, 1B. So it's going to be even tougher. But I don't think there's anything to this. I want to get your opinion on it, but this just seems like normal competitive stuff.
Yeah, it's normal. I'm not chalking anything up to it. I mean, you want the ball in your hands. It's one of those things. Like, as long as they're both getting fed, which they will throughout the season, we're fine. We don't have anyone. I mean, Goddard will take up some targets, but those 2 could get the Lions, share the targets, and we'll be fine. We don't need to get the ball to a 3rd wide receiver. So,
yeah, I think people forget because of that blow up. If you go back and watch that game could have very easily been, Smitty over 100 yards and 2 TDs for A.J. Brown. I mean, he had 2 that I would argue he usually makes that play. And then we're not even talking about this at all. It's a 2 touchdown game.
He did make the one play.
He did.
It was just holding.
Yeah. But I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like, he went through the day with, no targets, just ignored. If 2 things break a different way, the headline is the Eagles have 2 wide receiver 1s. Things didn't break that way and the conversation happened, so it looks different. But He came out today and talked about it. That he and Jalen are fine. The conversation wasn't about targets. It was about some disagreement on a play that they solved different ways or something like that. So there's nothing to really worry about. But it's a good problem to have. Like I said, we never had this issue when Jordan Matthews was leading the squad or when Mac Hollins was catching balls or any of that. So I'd rather have 2 stars to feed.
Yeah, there's no problem with that. The problem comes when we have to pay them both. That's when the problem arises.
I mean, AJ Brown's got a couple more years, doesn't he?
Yeah, but
Smitty's the next one that's due.
Yeah, he can be due soon. So
I think he's got this year and then next year's next year is eligible for an extension, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And that's going to be a fat extension, which they should absolutely find a way to give him because we just went through. I mean, I just said it. Before we got Devontae, our last borderline star receiver was what, Macklin? Because he outlasted Deshaun, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he outlasted Deshaun in the Chip Kelly days. Don't remind me.
Yeah, so what's that? 8 seasons without a number 1 wide receiver. So there's no reason we shouldn't pay Devontae whatever that man wants.
I agree.
But you're right. It's going to get tricky to keep this team together. On the plus side, after this year, I mean, it's not on the plus side. It's going to suck. But monetarily, you're going to have, the 1 year, 13, like the contracts that we have to pay our vets to keep that nucleus together. They're inflated contracts. Like, if we're being honest with ourselves here. I mean, Fletch, I think, is making 13. I forget what BG's getting. Jason Kelce deserves every penny of his still. But we have to stop giving out the loyalty contracts. That's going to free up a serious amount of cash.
Mm-hmm. No loyalty contracts. We're done with those. We learned from the Phillies. We learned from the Eagles. Like, don't do that.
The Eagles ones, I kind of agree with though. Like, I mean, for one, they're not. I shouldn't call them loyalty contracts because BG balled out last year, and Jason Kelce, for my money, is still a top 3 center in the league. Fletch is a little bit more just, for the development of the D line, which I guess has its own value. But after this year, I mean, those 3 guys pretty much said, I think Jason's going to hang it up. I don't know. Did you see the Kelce documentary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he's going to hang it up after watching that. I don't know how you walked away from it, but he's hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But still, we have his handpicked replacement. Like, I think we'll be fine.
I think Cam Jurgens is going to be really good. I'm glad he's getting starting reps all this year. I think the move back to center might be a little dicey next year after a full season at guard, but he'll figure it out. He played center his whole life. Mm-hmm. Losing BG is going to suck. I think he's huge for the culture of that team. Fletch, I think, he's doing his job this year, getting Carter and Davis up to speed. And then we won't have a need for him going forward, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. That's the right word for that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, all those guys were, how often do you have teammates play together this will be like their 11th season, I think. And
never.
The Eagles have been competitive outside of what, 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, they've been competitive their whole time here.
That's what keeps them around.
On both sides. I mean, that's why Howie keeps dishing out uncharacteristically large amounts of money for Howie.
It works.
Yeah, keeps him happy. Across the street, people have been happy as of late, at least. After a pretty dicey start to the month of September, the Phils have gotten hot at the right time. They took 2 out of 3 from St. Louis, backed it up by taking 2 out of 3 from Atlanta. And, they're going in the playoffs the way you want to go, and they're going in hot. Atlanta has cooled off considerably. I think they're 7-10 over their last 17. Excuse me. They have to be nervous. They've talked to their manager about it. The team they don't want to see again is Philadelphia. Team no one in the NL should want to see is Philly. I mean, we're going to go in as a wild card team again, but again, we're going to be the most dangerous wild card team. We should get wild card baseball at Citizens Bank, which is going to be cool. But I think the Braves are our only threat going through the NL, and I think they look at us the same way.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's one of those things. I don't know for the most dangerous wild card team because one of the Rays or the Orioles will be getting a wild card for better or worse.
In the AL, yeah.
In the AL, yeah, but in the NL, definitely. I'm not scared of the Diamondbacks. I'm not scared of the Cubs. Like
No,
the Brewers don't strike fear in me. If you look at their runs scored, not at all.
no.
They don't have an offense really.
The rest of the wild card teams are they're all trying to screw it up, and the other ones won't let them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I mean, we're the only one, kind of making a charge at it. Who do you want to see round one? Because it's very much up in the air. Like, who would you like to match up with?
I don't know. We get the wild card team if we're in the right. Get another wild card team.
Yeah, we'll get the if we're the 4, we would get the what is it? I think it's 4 or 5. I'm trying to remember how that works. Let me see what the playoff bracket looks like. Because the playoff picture. Here we go. Yeah, so right now we're slated to play the Diamondbacks.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, because right now the Cubs are at 6, D-backs are at 5. Yeah, and then the Brewers would play the Cubs. I'd honestly rather play the Diamondbacks than the Cubs. I think even though the Cubs are the 6th seed, they just have more guys that can get. If you remember correctly, I mean, obviously I never remember. The Cubs were on our ass 10 days ago.
They really were.
They were. I think we were as little as a game up at one point. They've cooled off and we've gotten hot again. But I mean, the Cubs shown that they can make a run at us. Arizona's never really been a problem. They've been hovering around that third wild card / out of the picture. So I'd much rather see them for sure. One of the big questions though going into the playoffs this year more than usual is the pitching is very shaky. Last year, we went in knowing that if you could get it to the 7th, we felt pretty good because you could hand it over to Alvarado, Sir Anthony Dominguez, and then bizarre, but Eflin was closing games for us last year. Well, Eflin's a stud in Tampa Bay now. Alvarado has been better, but he's not the same guy, and I don't know what happened to Sir Anthony Dominguez. So they put Lorenzen in the bullpen to kind of try and shore that up. And he's been pretty terrible since he threw that no-hitter. He has a 9.3 ERA.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but I'll take the Magic start. It's fine, right? I'm that dog with the house burning down meme. It's fine. Yeah.
He couldn't have saved that no-hitter for I don't know, now. Maybe September. Game 3 of a wild card series would have been cool.
Wait, we're in September. October? Yeah, hopes. Messed up my months. Yeah, he couldn't save that? No. But yeah, it's just one of those things where we need to figure it all out. I know we talk a lot about Nola and
all right, well, until we get Ryan back unglitched, I'm going to have him muted for a second. It seems... Oh, no, mine's still glitchy. We're just going to give it... There we go. Okay. All right, I think we're back. I had you muted there for a second because you were super crackly.
Yeah, I got to go talk with my internet service provider.
Okay. Yeah, so Rob came out and kind of said what the rotation was going to be in the wild card round. It's going to be Wheels going to get the ball game 1, Nola game 2, Suarez game 3, which was kind of the betting odds for what you thought you were going to see. I mean, I was proponent of Taijuan Walker early. Then he fell apart. I get it. The question was kind of, do you ride the hot hand with Cristobal Sanchez or do you go with tried and true Aaron Nola? Ultimately, I agree. For a playoff game, you put your best horses out there, and Aaron Nola is that. But I don't know, dude. I got to be honest. I mean, I'll feel real good about game 1, and I think all of Philadelphia collectively is going to be holding their breath game 2 of a wild card series because you don't know which Nola you're getting right now.
We thought Nola was going to get the ball game 1, so I'm kind of happy that he basically said in game 2.
Wheeler's the ace. He's got. I mean, I don't care how close Rob and Nola are. He's the longest tenured Philly. I get all that. Wheeler's the ace of the staff.
200%.
Yeah. Now Nola looked great the other day against Atlanta. I mean, I think he ended up giving up. I think he had 3 to his card, but he looked good doing it. Hopefully, that's the Nola we get. He's had some brilliant moments. He's had some really tough head scratching moments. But you'd really like to wrap that thing up in 2 because you already have the longest road possible. You don't need to stretch out any longer than you have to.
I mean, we did it last year. You can do it again, but like it wasn't easy last year.
No. Did St. Louis get one last year? I thought we took 2 from them and got out of there.
I think we did.
Fought against Houston. I mean, one team was clearly fresh, and one team of arms was gassed. And we said coming into this year, like you load up with Trey Turner. The plan was to make a legitimate run at that NL East crown. Atlanta's too good. We started slow. Trey started slow, and Atlanta buried us. So we'll do it the hard way again. We'll go through the wild card, through Atlanta. Once you get through Atlanta, no one else really worries me all that much. I mean, what are we going to run into the buzzsaw that is the Milwaukee Brewers? We'll be fine. The Dodgers are flawed this year. They're not the same team. We'll be all right. Not like last year.
Mm-hmm.
But
as long as the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman doesn't become the best player on the planet all of a sudden, I think we're good.
I got to say, he's kind of been that. There's been a lot of great hitters this season. Acuna Jr. has been incredible. Mookie Betts has had a great season. At one point, Corey Seager was really raking. Obviously, you got Luis Arias over in Miami hitting well north of 300. But Freddie Freeman quietly has been incredible this year. I think he's hitting 330 for power. I mean, he's been – what's crazy is that, like, he's been so good, and you would think that an organization that lets him out the door would be crippled forever. Atlanta watches him walk away. They go get Matt Olson. What's he got, 50 homers?
About.
It's insanity. It's like if we got rid of, Rhys Hoskins or whatever. We don't have any. We got rid of Bryce Harper and placed him Mookie Betts or something like that. Like, it's bizarre how good Olsen was just waiting to come up. It is. And I wanted to close on a little bit of Sixers news, and it's not necessarily new because they signed Kelly Oubre. There's a reason he was available in September. We'll get to that in later episodes. I don't find it all that fascinating, to be honest with you. I was listening to the Old Man and the Three, JJ Redick's podcast, and he had the guys from the Point Forward podcast on, which is Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner. And they were talking about, the days, the Sam Hinkie days in Philly. And the long and the short of it was, apparently Evan Turner went to Sam Hinkie completely distraught, didn't know what to do. They traded all of his friends. This was in the midst of blowing the team up. This is after going to Game 7 in Boston semifinals the next year. They trade Drew, they trade Iguodala, they blow the team up. And he goes to Sam Hinkie. He's like, look, I want to talk about my future. I want to understand what you're doing. And Sam Hinkie goes, I got about 5 minutes. Can you squeeze it into that? That is devastating.
I miss that, man.
Oh, my God, dude. Can you imagine your boss lays off the entire franchise except for you, and you go, hey, why'd you do that? Look, kid, I got 5 minutes, maybe. You're bothering me here.
I'm trying to make another trade.
Yeah, I'm trying to trade your ass, just nobody wants you.
See you in Portland,
Yeah, I think they moved him, a season later?
I think it was to Portland.
Yeah, he was.
Boston first.
No, you're right. He went to Boston first, then Portland, then back to Boston. Then I forgot he was on the coaching staff in Boston for a while.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he brought up on the podcast. He was like, "Yeah, when I officially retired from coaching," I was like, "Who the hell were you coaching?"
What? Well, you coached?
Yeah, he was on Brad Stevens' bench.
Good for him.
I had no idea. I mean, I guess if you were a role player your whole career, I guess you got to make a couple extra bucks somewhere. But I just thought that was interesting, just to hear the behind the scenes of how toxic those 2 seasons were when Sam was cleaning house. That it was,
just as toxic as we imagine, right?
Yeah, guys just had to duck for cover and hope they didn't get traded that day. Was pretty much the vibe around the locker room. But hopefully we're not, we'll get to the Sixers later. Hopefully we never see another day quite like that again. But I know we're recording this live, so everybody watching this is probably watching this and the Thursday night game. Ryan has the Thursday night game on his phone. Mine's over my left shoulder. So why don't we all just get back to what we really want to be doing here and watch some Thursday night football?
Yeah, I mean, do we really want to watch this though? This is the schedule makers. Just look bad.
It's early enough, dude. I'm excited for every single game that they put on the schedule.
I don't know about that one. Wait till you get the Sunday night.
I haven't seen the Sunday slate. We're not on it. Actually, let me get your opinion on this. I love the Eagles as much, if not more, than life itself. I'm so looking forward to not watching them on Sunday and just watching football for the fun of watching football.
Did it last Sunday? Why not do it again? Like,
it's the best. Like, I don't have fun watching the Eagles. I love watching the Eagles, but it's not fun. It's stressful for 3 hours.
Fun is popping on the Sunday night game after the Eagles win and being like, yeah, this is relaxing.
Yeah, it's just entertainment. I don't know these people. They don't affect how my day goes.
Oh, look, that's Tyreek Hill's running really fast, kind of deal.
Yeah, if it's the I'm screaming at somebody to blow a coverage, or why are we running the ball on 3rd and 8? Like, I don't like doing that.
I like watching other teams do that.
Yeah, I mean, we do it because you're sick in the head, but like, it's not for fun. It's because you feel like you owe these 53 people you'll never meet something, and I do it every week.
Speaking of disasters, all that, it's Oakland, or I said Oakland. Oh my God, it's Las Vegas at Pittsburgh, the Sunday night.
That's the primetime game.
That's the game for sickos.
That can't be primetime. It's got to be an afternoon game, right?
I swear it's Sunday Night Football.
Even coming into the season, that game wasn't supposed to be good.
No. Have you seen the offensive efficiency chart that's been going around?
No.
It's like all the teams, like it's San Fran like right up here, and it's like all the other teams like right in here, and then it's just the Steelers all the way down here.
Dude, they're really bad. How Matt Canada still has a job is beyond me.
Yeah, I mean they were getting the fire him chance going, so.
He won't make the season, I don't think, but we'll see. But all right, well, I'm missing more of this game. I'm the only person here not watching this thing, so we're gonna hop off. I'm gonna fire up the TV and watch some of this lackluster football, and we will see all of you guys next week here on the Patterson Report.
Peace.
Peace.